A mocking laugh ricochets through the high school gymnasium. "Nice jacket, Grandpa," sneers Madison, her cheerleader pom-poms rattling as she struts past. Her voice, sugary and sharp, slices through the chatter like a knife. The bleachers erupt with muffled giggles and nudges, students shifting in their seats, not quite brave enough to join in, but not bold enough to stop it either. The object of her ridicule stands near the edge of the stage, motionless. Captain Gabriel, Gabe Hale, thin, stooped, clad in a weathered army green jacket patched with campaign medals that gleam dully under the fluorescent lights, doesn't flinch. His grizzled face, carved with time and sun and memory, turns slowly toward the crowd. A hush follows him like a shadow. He grips the podium rail with a hand still steady, despite everything. His voice, gravel smooth, barely carries as he murmurs, "It still fits." No one replies. The gym smells of old sweat and fresh varnish, echoes trapped like ghosts in the rafters. Banners from past championships sway above. A basketball rolls somewhere, forgotten. And Gabe, he remains still, like a mountain the weather forgot. Someone coughs. Madison tosses her hair, satisfied. But from the wings, just behind the curtain, a girl watches with clenched fists. Me. Ava Winters. Senior. Class of 25. No one told Gabe to be here. He just is. Every game. Every play. Every dull Monday morning when we drag ourselves through homeroom. Always in that jacket. I remember once, after drama rehearsal, I saw him wipe down the seats no one asked him to clean. I thanked him. He smiled but said nothing. And that laugh, Madison's laugh, keeps ringing long after the bell signals second period. I guess it started for me that rainy Thursday in October, about a month into senior year. I was staying late to help repaint the backdrops for the fall play, Our Town, of all things, when I saw him again. Gabe. He was sweeping the auditorium steps, coat soaked, silver hair plastered to his scalp like he'd forgotten to check the weather. I don't even think he noticed me at first. "Need help?" I asked. He paused, broom in hand. "Don't want to get your boots dirty," he said. I laughed. "They're already ruined from band camp." That was the first real conversation we had. Not much, but enough to shift something. After that, I paid more attention. Gabe was always around, but not in the way people think. Not like someone loitering. He moved with purpose, quiet, deliberate. He fixed the gym doors when they squeaked. He folded flags after assemblies. He helped Coach Bailey change out the practice cones without ever saying a word. He belonged, but also, didn't. No one knew his story, and no one really asked. Rumors swirled, of course. High school thrives on that. One version said he was a janitor who never left after his daughter died. Another claimed he used to teach history, and they let him stay because of a nervous breakdown. A wilder one said he lived in his truck and spent the day pretending he still had somewhere to be. But I'd seen the truth, or at least glimpses of it. A scar tracing down his neck, barely hidden under his collar. A limp on cold mornings. A tattoo of a falcon on his forearm, faded and half gone. Then one day, Mrs. Banner, our counselor, pulled me aside after English class. "You've been asking about Gabe, haven't you?" I froze. "Not really, just wondering." She leaned closer. "He was Lily's dad." I blinked. "Lily?" "Lily Hale. Class of 2020. Top of her class." She was supposed to give the valedictorian speech, but her voice faltered. "She died 3 days before graduation. Car accident. He came home early from deployment. Didn't make it back in time." That gut punch feeling hit. I remembered the white roses by the senior wall that year. I remembered a framed photo on the principal's desk. I hadn't connected the name until now. Gabe wasn't just here out of nowhere. He was here for her. He asked if he could attend the graduation anyway, Banner continued softly. Didn't want a seat. Just wanted to stand in back and hear what she would have heard. Warren let him in. And he's come to every ceremony since. I sat with that for days. At football games, while the crowd cheered, I'd see him behind the bleachers, eyes scanning the horizon like he was still on patrol. At rehearsals, he sat in the wings but always faced the stage, like waiting for someone who never showed. And during fire drills, while students goofed off or scrolled TikTok, Gabe stood with the teachers, arms crossed, eyes sharp. It was like the school had absorbed him, or he'd fused to it. When I asked Principal Warren once why no one said anything, he shrugged. Some stories don't need repeating out loud. They need space to breathe. But the student body didn't really get it. Gabe was just there. Like a statue that moved occasionally. And the more invisible he became, the easier it was for people to overlook him. Until Madison. Madison James ruled the cafeteria like it was her divine right. Queen bee of everything, with perfectly planned outfits and the kind of smile that never reached her eyes. Her father was a lawyer. Her mom chaired the school board. She thought her voice mattered more than most, and sometimes, frustratingly, it did. When she first mocked Gabe, it was almost casual. "Nice relic," she'd mutter, smirking as she passed him. Or, "Whose grandpa wandered off again?" At first, people laughed, because that's what people do when they're scared to push back. But over time, her jabs got meaner. More pointed. She started calling him Ghost Dad. Said he haunted the school like some kind of tragic cliché. I tried saying something once. Maybe just, stop. I offered, catching up to her in the hallway. She blinked at me, mock innocent. Stop what? You know what? She smirked. Why? It's not like he even hears me. But he did. I knew he did. I saw it in the way his mouth twitched when he turned away. The way he paused longer by the trophy case before heading out. He carried silence like it weighed 50 pounds. By December, something in him seemed to shift. He came less often. Missed a few games. His coat looked older, more ragged. One morning, I saw him staring at a locker, Lily's old one, I realized, for a full 5 minutes, not moving. And that's when I decided. If no one else would, I'd talk to him. I found him by the flagpole one afternoon, rain threatening again. "Mr. Hale?" He looked up. "Just Gabe," he said. "I know about Lily." His mouth tightened. "I think she'd be proud of you," I said, voice cracking before I could stop it. "For still showing up." He didn't speak for a long time. Then, so quietly I almost missed it, he said, "I show up because she can't." That night, I told my parents about him. My dad, a quiet man who'd served in the reserves, nodded solemnly. "Some soldiers come home, Ava. Some only get part of the way." After that, I tried harder. I made a space for Gabe, even if it was just a nod in the hallway. I left a lily-colored ribbon on the bench he sat on. I told friends. Some rolled their eyes. Some listened. Some started saying hi when they saw him. But not Madison. Madison doubled down. And what she said next, what she really said, was the moment everything cracked open. Graduation season hit like a freight train. Final exams, cap fittings, rehearsals, yearbook signings, all of it tangled together in a storm of excitement and dread. The hallways buzzed with countdowns and college talk. Even the teachers seemed lighter, like they could see the finish line too. But under all that noise, the undercurrent around Gabe grew tense. He still came most mornings, but his posture had changed. Less upright. More hesitant. He started lingering outside instead of sitting in the auditorium. The jacket, that battered army green coat, looked heavier on him now, like the fabric itself remembered too much. And Madison noticed. One Thursday afternoon, just before senior prank planning kicked into gear, I caught her and her crew near the gym's trophy case. I was across the hall, pretending to read a bulletin board, but really I was listening. I always listened when Madison got that tone, syrupy sweet, just sharp enough to slice skin. Do you think he thinks he's like a teacher? Madison giggled, twirling a strand of her hair. Or maybe he's confused. Like those old guys who think they're still in the war. Her friend Bianca leaned in. Didn't someone say he was a janitor? No, Madison smirked. He's not even that useful. He just lurks. Like he's waiting for his moment to be tragic. The girls burst into laughter. Then she said it, the line that broke something I didn't know could still crack. Maybe he thinks he saved people. Maybe he lost his daughter, too, poorer than he is, thinking he still matters. I felt it like a punch. Even her friends froze. For 1 second, no one laughed. You could hear the vending machine humming. Then Madison shrugged, unbothered. What? I'm just saying what we're all thinking. But we weren't. At least, I wasn't. Across the hall, Gabe had paused. I hadn't noticed him walking in. None of us had. He'd stopped right at the doorway, one hand still on the handle, as if deciding whether to step in or walk away. His eyes met mine, just for a second. Then they drifted past me, unfocused. His shoulders sagged. Slowly, he let go of the door and turned back outside. I dropped my books and ran after him. Gabe! I called. He didn't stop. Please, wait. He reached the parking lot and stood beside a dusty pickup truck, the same one that had been parked in the far corner of the lot all year. I hadn't realized it was his. I should have. I'm sorry, I said, breathless. He didn't look at me. Just stared at the flagpole in the distance. She didn't get to walk across that stage, he murmured. Didn't get the speech. Didn't get the pictures, the roses, the stupid tassel. I swallowed. I know. He turned then. His eyes, so blue, like pale winter, met mine again. I wore this jacket to every graduation since. I stand in the back and listen. I watched the kids she would have known grow up. Thought maybe it helped. It does, I whispered. It helps more than you know. But he shook his head. Not anymore. I think maybe I've stayed too long. No. It's okay, he said, voice like worn gravel. They don't have to understand. Just, maybe I'll sit this one out. The words fell like stones. I wanted to say something, anything, to stop the hurt from taking root. But he was already climbing into the truck. He drove off slowly. No music. No goodbye. Just the slow retreat of someone who'd finally heard enough. I stood there long after the dust settled. Later that evening, I typed out a message on the senior class page. It wasn't long, just a quiet truth. About Gabe. About Lily. About what it means to show up when it hurts. I didn't name names. I didn't need to. By morning, it had 100 likes. Then 200. Then shares. Some people commented with hearts. Some posted memories. Some admitted they'd never really noticed Gabe, but now wished they had. But Madison? She doubled down. She made stickers. Ugly ones. Ghost Dad, class of 1964. She handed them out with a wink, and by lunchtime, a few lockers were plastered with them. Some students peeled them off. Some didn't. Some laughed, because laughter is easier than confrontation. That day, Gabe didn't show up. Nor the next. Friday, the school felt wrong. Lopsided. Like something sacred had been knocked out of place. I asked Principal Warren if he'd seen him. He nodded slowly. He's taking some time. I think we broke him, I said, voice trembling. Warren's gaze stayed steady. Or maybe we just reminded him of something he's been trying not to feel. I walked home that day with rain in my shoes and a knot in my chest. That weekend, I bought green ribbon, Lily's favorite color, I'd read in her old bio, and started cutting strips. My mom helped. She didn't ask why. She just brought more scissors. On Monday, I passed out the first handful before first period. Some kids pinned them to their backpacks. Some to their sleeves. Teachers took them, too. Quietly. No questions. Madison rolled her eyes, but she looked uncertain. But still, no Gabe. No one knew where he was. And then, Tuesday morning, everything changed. Tuesday started like any other. The bell rang at 8 a.m. sharp. First period began with a pop quiz in government. Most of us half-heartedly filled in answers, minds elsewhere. The sky outside was cloudy, that heavy gray that presses against windows like a warning. I remember glancing toward the gym, hoping, stupidly, that I'd see Gabe by the doors, brushing dirt from the mats, his coat hanging long past his knees. But the stage area was empty. No boots. No medals. No quiet silhouette standing watch. I tried to focus. I really did. But something felt off, like the air inside the building had gone still. At 8:05 a.m., the intercom clicked. Not the usual tinny chime or the vice principal's nasal announcements. Just a crackle, followed by silence. Then Principal Warren's voice, low and firm. All students and faculty, please proceed to the gymnasium immediately. This is not a drill. Chairs scraped. A few students exchanged glances. A prank? A fire drill? Madison muttered something about how lame this senior send-off stunt was going to be. But I knew. I don't know how, but I knew this was about Gabe. We funneled into the gym, confused, whispering, the hum of sneakers on polished wood echoing beneath the bleachers. Teachers stood in rows, not speaking. The janitor wiped his hands nervously on a rag. The assistant principal looked like she'd been crying. The scoreboard lights were off. No music played. Just the low murmur of hundreds of teenagers trying to make sense of an unfamiliar silence. Then came the sound. Engines. Tires on pavement. A slow, deliberate roll of black vehicles pulling into the lot just outside the gym doors. A motorcade. Not flashy, no sirens or flags, but unmistakably official. 2 SUVs, a sleek government sedan, and a white van. The side doors opened. Out stepped 2 men in navy dress blues, upright and precise. Their shoes hit the asphalt like drumbeats. Behind them, a woman emerged. Short-cropped hair under her beret. Bronze oak leaves on her lapel. Her ribbon rack glittered with decades of service. A murmur rippled through the students. Who were they? Why were they here? And then. Gabe. He stepped out last. Not helped. Not carried. He moved slowly, braced on crutches, but his spine was straight, his jaw set. Gone was the coat. In its place, a simple black suit and his medals neatly pinned to a dark green sash. His beard was trimmed. His hair slicked back. He looked taller. One of the Navy officers walked ahead, opened the gym doors, and nodded. Gabe stepped in. And the entire gym fell silent. You could hear the clock tick. He paused under the archway, eyes sweeping the crowd like a soldier scanning terrain. Then he walked forward, slowly, measured. The prosthetic leg gleamed beneath the cuff of his trousers. One step. Another. The Navy officers flanked him. The woman followed, her heels striking the floor in sharp, steady beats. Principal Warren met them at center court. He took the microphone, his hand not trembling, but almost. "You've all seen this man around," he began, his voice steady, reverent. "You've passed him in the halls. Sat near him at games. Some of you, regrettably, mocked him." Whispers rustled like wind. "But few of you know who he truly is," Warren continued. "This is Captain Gabriel Hale. United States Army. Retired. Purple Heart and Combat Cross recipient. A man who served 22 years, most recently with Task Force Iron Resolve in Fallujah. A man who, 5 years ago, shielded a Navy SEAL team from enemy fire, saving 6 lives in a single night. That team is here today." The Navy officers turned. One gave a crisp nod. "They came," Warren said, "to walk him back." Gabe looked stunned. His eyes darted toward them, and for a flicker of a second, he looked younger. Less worn. Less haunted. The taller SEAL stepped forward, knelt, and with precise hands, strapped the prosthetic to Gabe's leg. The clicks of each strap echoed like distant gunfire. No one moved. Not a breath, not a cough, not a whisper. Warren spoke again. He came to this school every year since his daughter Lily died before graduation. She was class of 2020. He never asked for recognition. Never asked for thanks. He came because love doesn't disappear when someone does. He stood for her. In her place. So today, we stand for him. The silence cracked. Applause, hesitant at first, then a thunderous wave. Students stood. Teachers followed. The bleachers vibrated with the weight of hundreds rising together. Gabe tried to speak, but emotion caught him. He nodded instead, lips tight. The woman officer stepped beside him, her hand gently on his shoulder. She whispered something, and Gabe smiled for the first time in what felt like forever. Principal Warren lifted his hand. "There is more to say. But I'll let him say it." Gabe stepped forward. No podium. No microphone. Just his voice, steady and low. "I never meant to be seen," he said. "Just to be near her. Lily loved this school. Loved you all. I came for her. Every game. Every rehearsal. Every diploma handed out. I imagined her watching. I imagined her proud." His voice caught, but he didn't stop. "I never asked for anyone to notice. But you did. And now I can finally say, thank you. For letting me stand in her place." A tear slipped down my cheek. Madison was sitting across from me, her arms folded. But her eyes, they were red. Gabe stepped back. The SEALs flanked him again, not as guards, as brothers. The gym remained silent long after the last word. Somehow, without any rehearsal, without a prompt, the students began to hum the school song. Soft. Uneven. But real. Gabe closed his eyes. And for the first time, he looked at peace. The graduation ceremony was scheduled for Friday evening, but by Tuesday afternoon, nothing felt the same. Gabe's moment in the gym had transformed the atmosphere at school. Even the walls seemed to hum with something quieter, deeper, like respect had found its way into the brick. For the first time, people really saw him. And maybe for the first time, Gabe let himself be seen. On Wednesday, he stood in the courtyard with Principal Warren, helping reset folding chairs for the senior picnic. Not supervising. Not skulking in the background. Just there, sleeves rolled up, prosthetic leg visible, laughing softly at some joke from Coach Bailey. People approached him now. Students who'd never said a word began stopping to thank him. Some called him Captain. Others just said, Gabe. A few handed him notes, handwritten, clumsy, heartfelt. I watched one boy press a dog-eared photo into his hand and whisper, my brother was over there too. Gabe nodded, no words, just a firm squeeze on the boy's shoulder. Something had shifted. The faculty started calling it the Hale effect. Even Madison had gone quiet. She didn't apologize, not yet. But she stopped mocking. The stickers disappeared. No one said who peeled them down. Maybe it was her. Maybe not. But they were gone by morning. By Thursday, everyone wore green. Not bright neon, not matching shirts, just simple signs. Hair bands. Ribbon bracelets. Shoelaces. Gabe's daughter's favorite color had spread through the campus like ivy. Someone chalked, "For Lily," across the front steps. Another left a bouquet at her old locker, now repainted and adorned with a laminated photo of her senior portrait. Gabe didn't speak much that day. But he smiled. And when he passed me in the hallway, he gave a nod that felt like something between gratitude and trust. Friday arrived with sun, bright, defiant, as if refusing to let sadness reclaim the moment. The stadium filled early, parents fanning themselves with programs, siblings climbing over bleachers for better seats. The stage was simple, a white canopy, a podium draped with the school crest, and rows of chairs facing a sea of plastic caps. I was near the front, trembling in my gown, heart pounding. Not from nerves. From something heavier. I kept looking behind the stage, half expecting something to go wrong. But at 5:45 p.m., on the dot, he arrived. Captain Gabriel Hale. No crutches this time. He walked slowly, but unaided. The seals from Tuesday weren't there, but he didn't need them now. A student usher offered him a chair by the stage entrance. He waved it off. Instead, he stood. Hands clasped. Medals gleaming. The ceremony began. Names were read. Diplomas handed out. Cheers erupted. Some kids danced across the stage. Some cried. But something ran beneath it all, like current under still water. Then Principal Warren stepped forward. Before we close, he said, we have one more acknowledgement to make. He turned slightly. Captain Hale. Please join us. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Gabe hesitated. Then stepped up. The audience rose. A standing ovation, not polite, not prompted, but earned. He reached the podium, adjusted the mic, looked out. And lifted a frame. A photo. Lily. In a cap and gown. Smiling, wide, radiant, full of life. I've worn this jacket, he began, voice firm, to every ceremony since 2020. He looked down. Not to be seen. Not for recognition. But because my daughter didn't get to wear hers. I wore it for her. He paused. Swallowed. Each year, I watched students she would have known graduate. I heard speeches she might have given. I imagined her name being called. And each time, I thought maybe that would be the last. But grief doesn't work like that. It doesn't end. It folds itself into the quiet moments. The stadium was silent. But this year, he said, voice wavering, you saw me. You let me stand with you. You honored her in ways I couldn't have imagined. And because of that, this is the last time I wear this. Gasps again. He reached behind and slowly removed the jacket. Held it gently in his arms, like something holy. He laid it over the podium. Stepped back. I am proud to have served, he said. But more proud to have known her. Lily would have stood among you tonight. She would have been honored by your kindness, your change, your courage. He looked directly at Madison then. She didn't flinch. Instead, she stood. Walked to the stage. Her gown fluttered in the breeze. Her eyes were red again, but clear. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a ribbon. Green. Carefully folded. She walked to Gabe, hand trembling, and gently pinned it above his heart. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Loud enough for all to hear. He didn't speak. He just pulled her into a hug. The crowd burst into applause. And then, one by one, graduates rose from their seats, walked to the stage, and began pinning their own ribbons to Gabe's jacket, now resting gently on a chair beside the podium. Dozens. Then hundreds. By the end of the ceremony, the coat was no longer a relic of war. It was a mosaic of memory, stitched with forgiveness and stitched with love. Lily's jacket now. Ours. The Monday after graduation was quiet. The kind of quiet that only comes after something significant has ended, like the last notes of a concert echoing through an empty hall. The school felt hollow without the seniors roaming the halls, voices bouncing off lockers, laughter spilling from classrooms. Even the air conditioning sounded louder, like it didn't know what to do with the silence. I came back that morning to return my locker key and help Mrs. Banner box up yearbooks. It was just us, sorting through leftover cords and mismatched caps. The banners from Friday still hung in the gym, slightly sagging now, like they'd exhaled. The folding chairs were gone. The podium had been pushed aside. But the jacket remained. Folded carefully. Resting on a chair beside the stage, now covered in dozens of green ribbons, each one a name, a gesture, a moment of acknowledgement. A tapestry of a community that, for a long time, hadn't known it was broken. Gabe arrived around 10 a.m. No fanfare. Just the soft jingle of keys and the squeak of the back door as he stepped in. He wore a plain gray shirt and jeans today, the medals gone, the formal lines of military bearing softened into something more peaceful. Human. He paused when he saw me. Didn't expect to see anyone here. I could say the same, I smiled. He stepped closer to the stage, eyes scanning the jacket. Guess I have to find a new way to honor her now. You already did, I said, standing beside him. You reminded us what it means to show up. He didn't respond for a long moment. Then he asked, almost shyly, would you like to see something? I nodded. He pulled a small folder from under his arm, worn, soft-edged. Inside was a letter. It had yellowed with time. The handwriting was tidy, precise. She wrote this the day she found out she was valedictorian, he said. Was going to read it at graduation. Her mom made a copy. I couldn't bring myself to open it until this week. He handed it to me. I hesitated, then read aloud. To the class of 2020, it began, I don't know where we'll all end up, but I do know this, we are not made by the medals we earn or the tests we pass. We are made by who we choose to stand beside. Stand beside the quiet ones. The overlooked. The ones who carry more than they say. They are the bravest people in the room. I had to stop, voice trembling. She saw you, I whispered. Before any of us did. He nodded. She always saw the people no one else did. I thought I was coming here to honor her memory. Turns out, she brought me back to life. We sat on the stage for a while after that. Not talking. Just listening to the soft creaks of the empty gym and the birds outside tapping against the windows. It felt like the kind of moment you remember years later and don't realize until much later just how much it mattered. That week, the district made an announcement. The school's scholarship fund was being renamed, the Lily Hale Legacy Award, for a student who demonstrated quiet leadership, resilience, and compassion. Gabe was invited to speak at the first award ceremony in the fall. He declined the stage but agreed to hand the envelope to the recipient personally. And Madison? She came back. Not for attention. Not to reclaim anything, but to work. She joined the summer maintenance team. Painted handrails, sorted books, swept classrooms. Said it helped her relearn things. One afternoon, I saw her sitting in the library, reading a book on post-combat trauma. She didn't see me. She was crying. Change doesn't come in thunderclaps. It comes in the slow bend of a branch learning to reach toward light again. In August, a mural appeared on the back wall of the auditorium. It was student-painted, a gift from the senior class. It showed a young woman in a graduation cap, standing on a mountain ridge, green ribbon tied to her wrist, facing the horizon. Below her, in the shadowed valley, stood a figure in uniform, weathered, quiet, looking up at her with pride. Next to it, a quote from her letter. "Stand beside the quiet ones. The ones who carry more than they say." And Gabe? He stayed. He applied to be a full-time student advocate. Not because he wanted a title, but because students started coming to him, sharing their stories, their griefs, their scars. They knew he'd listen. And for the first time in years, he wasn't just watching from the wings. He was part of the scene. By mid-year, he started a weekly after-school group, Green Bench Club. Anyone who'd experienced loss could attend. They didn't have to talk. Just sit. Just show up. Because that was Gabe's quiet legacy, presence. Not words, not applause. Just the unwavering act of standing beside someone when no one else will. One afternoon, I returned to visit. I found him sitting alone on the gym bleachers, a lily ribbon still tied to the railing beside him. He saw me and smiled. "Funny," he said. "Used to feel like this place reminded me of everything I lost. And now?" I asked. "Now," he said, "it reminds me of everything I found. Stand beside them.